Hello and welcome back to episode 8 of the Vulcan Gas Depot series. The last episode we got the basic framework for the greenhouse put together and assembled. So on this episode we're going to be putting carbon dioxide into the greenhouse as well as going through and planting first round of crops in the new greenhouse. We're going to leave this existing greenhouse set up for the time being. So for right now I'm just going to harvest what I can out of here. Let's head out and start working on the next phase of the construction. Make sure this is off. I'm just going to do a quick round of checks here. Temperature looks good. That's pure. And how's this doing? That's got plenty of liquid left. Temperature's looking good there. And pressure looks good on that. Okay, 2 kilomoles. And our carbon dioxide is cooling off nicely. So the first thing we're going to do is put in the composters downstairs. We're going to need the composting kits for those. We'll probably put 2 of them in right away. Okay, let's head in there. Is that gonna... Yeah, I can actually put in cable as well as... So we'll see if we can wire these in. I just want to make sure I can fit them this close together. I can. Beautiful. So we'll have the wire come out this side, and we'll have the water pipe come in the back over here. Okay, so that's that. Next we're going to want the chutes. We're going to install those. So we'll come down, come in, and then we'll want the flip-flop splitter like that. Okay, there's that. And then how do we assemble these? We need a welding torch and 10 steel sheets. Okay. Oh, I don't want windows. Alright, so that's those put in, and then let's put up some walls. We will put walls there. There. Put glass on those. Okay, so we'll have to weld those up and we'll need a door kit to close that in. We'll also need vents. Let's see, we'll put the vent... Have to figure out where that's going to go. Okay, so that's going to come in. We're going to have to go get the door first. I got to figure out if I can run, how that's going to work relative to the door. Okay, put the door in, weld it up. And we'll want to weld up both of these machines. So that's those. Where's our wiring? Okay, our wiring's along there. Okay. So we'll wire all those up. And we'll need some more wire. Gotta figure out where to put the vent. So the vent is going to come in after the oxygen filter, so it's going to come in right there. So let's actually change this around a little bit. We'll connect that through there, and then we'll come down on this one. And we'll install... Okay. Okay, oh shoot. Gonna have to use my jetpack in here, which I don't like. That's alright, it's just nitrogen. Okay, so that's that put in, so we can put the vent on the wall somewhere in here. You need a powered vent, as well as more pipes. And because we need more pipes, we're going to have to go mining. Okay, we're going to do a little temporary measure here. I want to bring in more carbon dioxide to temporarily run this this old greenhouse. It'll work a lot more efficiently if we pressurize this a little bit. So we're going to build up some pressure in here. We'll just bring in, 20 megapascals or something. And now if we turn this on, this should pressurize much more quickly. Oh. 7% damage, that'll be alright. There we go. Now the stress is dropping. And let's just take a quick look, make sure this temperature isn't going too high. Yeah, that's going to keep up, so that should be fine. We're going to come over, we're going to bring in a little more pollutants over on this side while it's evening. It's got 116, so we're going through like 4 liters a day of pollutants, which is really not that much. That's really good. And this is down to 20 degrees, so this is down to operating temperature. And that means this tank should be down to, 24. Okay, let's just switch this off so that if we come inside and forget about it, we don't leave it running during the day and cook our existing greenhouse, which would be bad. Okay, so to start with, we'll wire the rest of this up. That's that, and then we will want... Can we run... We can run a cable across there. I just need to make some space here. There we go. Okay, so we'll run a cable along here. There we go. So we'll put the active vent on right here with pipes going through. Okay, so that will pump gas into the filtration units in here, which will pull out the nitrogen and hydrogen volatiles. And let's weld this floor back up so we can stop falling through. Okay, that's that. And I think we are about ready to pressurize. That doesn't have power. We'll have to wire the rest of this room. Okay, so it's not the most elegant wiring. It uses a few extra cables, but that's just going to have to work. We've got, because of the inflow pipe here, we've got a bit of a tricky spot coming around the back of these. So now that has power, so if we wire this forward, we can connect into these, and then we'll wire these up as well. And this last one. Oh, and we're out of cables again. Okay, that should be alright though, so let's get... That will return this to a vacuum. And do these have power? We need to be able to hit the button on those. That's fine. We'll worry about those later on. And let's just see if that is actually bringing gas in. It is. It brought in some nitrogen. And that should be all the way over to here. Okay, yeah, so we brought in about 30 liters overnight. So if we run that every 4 or 5 days, it looks like that's plenty to keep that cooling loop occupied. Okay, I'll head back in here, do a little more housekeeping in here, a little more construction. So we want the ladder end, let's put it, can we, yeah, we can put it on there. Cool. We're also going to want to put in kind of a little makeshift airlock here. So we want a manual hatch on about there, and we'll put in, we need an iron wall. Shoot. Well, we'll leave that for now. So let's finish wiring this up. Okay, we're going to want a couple of pumps in here. Let's leave those. And we'll leave the chutes here. We're going to need an active vent over here, so we'll leave that here. We'll need 2 of these, so we'll leave those there. And we're almost certainly going to need some more pipes, both liquid and gas, so we'll leave both of those in here. And gonna take a little break and think about the next steps here. Gonna go get food and water. So right here I accidentally opened the inner airlock door, which let the hot gas in the airlock into the greenhouse. Fortunately, in a rare double mistake, I accidentally left the oxygen scrubber on, so there's no oxygen in the room to combust the volatiles I let in. So other than being a bit warm and some minor pollution, the plants will be fine. Okay, we're back after a break. I'm gonna do a little bit more work here. So to start with, I want to put in some lockers for storage. Let's put one down. We'll put one inside here. We'll install one somewhere down here. I guess maybe over here. It'd be a little more sensible. About like that. So now I'd like to get some more CO2 being filtered as well. To remember to turn this on so things don't explode, and that should start putting pollutant into here, but it should immediately condense out almost immediately. Yeah, so this temperature's coming up a little bit, but almost nothing. And if we have, yeah, this is running, and that's open, so these should keep this cool. Why are these not running? Let's just do a bit of extra cooling by turning this down to 10. That should help. Okay, and that should be good to run for a while now. It should safely run until that tank is empty. And nothing bad will happen if the tank actually runs out. So getting started on the next phase of the greenhouse, we're going to want gas filters. So we're going to need carbon dioxide. Oh, let's see, no, we need oxygen, 3 of each, so we have 1 extra. And then nitrogen, and then we want a volatiles filter as well, 3 of them. Okay, we're also going to want 2 atmospherics units. We're going to need 1 atmospherics unit for the hydrogen combustor, and then we will need a second one as a filter to pull out the steam. So we've got our atmospherics kits. I was going to install this water filtration, water manufacturing system inside the greenhouse basement here. However, I think it's actually going to work better if we put it out here. These require frames to sit on. Okay. So, to start with, we're going to put filters into these systems here. So the first thing we pull out is oxygen. If there's any possibility that we have both oxygen and hydrogen in the same system, there's a possibility of explosion. So we want to pull the oxygen out first. The rest of the stuff then can have hydrogen in it. So next we'll filter out hydrogen into this tank. And then lastly it'll be nitrogen into this tank. And then we have an extra filter for each one, which we'll put on the shelf here. There we are. We'll pull these up real quick. Oh. We're gonna just have to break this open. That's unfortunate. This is why we didn't plant anything in there just yet. This was always a possibility. Okay, so now we'll put in frames. And if we double weld those will seal. Okay, that clears that up, and now we can install the combustor. Move it out just, yeah, we'll keep it as compact as we can. Don't need to take extra space for no reason. So I think we'll come this way with the filtration unit. Okay, and then we'll run some pipes. Let's just check on this real quick. Okay, so we'll assemble these. These need pipes and wires. And this one's going to need filters, but we'll worry about that in a minute. Let's wire these up. And since we've already damaged the atmosphere on that anyway, let's just make this a little easier to see what we're doing here. Okay, that's taken care of. And, oh, we did want to open this as well. Okay, so now we will need input from here. And then that is going to come output from there into there. Let's worry about getting some storage on that. And the filtered output is going to come out this direction. And I guess we'll have to have like a heat exchanger or something there. And unfiltered output is going to come in this way. Where can we run that? That's going to be like... So this is oxygen. We need to paint these things or I'm going to lose track of what's what. Oh, we are actually out of power.
Oxygen critical.
Well, that's a problem. We're in here and we have no electricity. There. There's just enough electricity maybe to run this pump. We're just going to have to lose some air. This is unfortunate. There's going to be fire here. Why are the panels not tracking? Looks like they did track. We just overdid it on the power usage. Okay. We're going to manually reset the panels over to morning. Okay. Anyway. We need to cool this down. So we're going to want a heat exchanger, gas to gas, something like that. There, now we can read the output temperature. So this is going to be a condensation valve. Make sure we open that. And we'll wire this pipe in. Okay, and then here we are going to want the 130 degree night gas line to be wired up to that. So we're going to need, oh, the power. That's why we're losing power. Okay, so we just need to rewire the battery. So let's actually reconfigure that, as long as this battery is dead anyway. Okay, hand drill. And a wrench. Okay, so that's the input power. It comes down to the basement. Okay, so that's hooked up. We'll need the super heavy cables. Okay, we can't use the strip 5 there. There we are. And turn the switch on, but it doesn't have any power yet. So now all we need to do is run heavy cable back up this way. Oh, and we're out of super heavy cable. We do have a temporary APC we can steal. Okay, let's make sure we don't blow this place up. No oxygen in here, so that's fine. We will throw a heavy battery in there. Let's do a bit of rewiring. Okay, so our transformer will go right there. Okay, so that's wired up, and then we will need a transformer real quickly. Oh boy, we need copper. Which we don't have, which means we have to go mining. Oh, bugger. I've really gotten myself into a pickle here. Okay. back on. Print the transformer. And turn that back off. Okay, there we are. So now everything should be working again. And the panels are tracking. So that was a minor little detour. We're going to have to run and eat again here pretty quickly. Or drink, rather. So that is cooling down. And that's back to pure volatiles again. Okay. Let's just fix this hole in this floor so we don't keep falling through it. Where is that spot? Somewhere over here. There it is. Oops. There we go. Single weld that only. Okay. Now back to what we were doing. We're going to need a lot more pipes. Okay, that's going to make 34 of those, and then we'll be out of silicon. And I think as long as we have daytime, let's just do a bit of mining. Okay, now that we've finished being temporarily sidetracked, we can start putting in this long-distance cooling run. We're on a straight 10s over. And it's just going to chew through our pipes. It can't be helped. So that's those. And then we're going to need a gas mixer. We have a mixer. That's a pump. And that's a pump. We'll need that iron wall. Okay, so that airlock is just about ready to go. We need to weld that hatch. And let's just put this, I guess, something like that. We'll put that up there. We'll have to wire that vent in. Okay, that's going to need a cowling. Actually, let's use a passive vent on that. Okay, where can we put the passive vent? Can it sit? We'll have to sit right there. That'll be fine. And then we'll connect it like that. So that is a little mini one-way airlock. It just assumes vacuum in the basement, so that'll allow us to push the gas back up here. So that now actually will allow us to close this. Actually, let's open this for the time being. And let's wall this off again. There we go. Okay, so this is resealed again. We'll wire in this pump temporarily. And then we'll come upstairs. And this should evacuate this room. Pull up a couple 4 segments just to speed that up again, like we did last time. Okay, what did we need? Paint. Okay, so getting back to what we were working on, let's take this thing out. Got this floor panel. that will allow us to run a pipe over this way. It's a bugger to get in there. So that provides cooling all the way over to here. That will cool the water that we make down to night gas temperature. And then we will just need to cool it down to a much colder temperature as well. So we'll put a little bit of storage there. And we'll get another heat exchanger there. And then from that line... Okay, and that will tap off of this cooling line. There we are. So we'll come down here, we'll install this heat exchanger. Liquid to gas. So it's liquid on that side, gas on that side, and then that will cool. So we're going to want a pump. So we'll put a pump there. That's going to need a liquid volume pump, which we probably don't have yet. Let's go finish wiring this connection. So that has 20-degree gas in it. I keep falling down there. I really got to put a floor in there. Come on. Alright, fine. Go this way. Just take the stairs like a normal person. Okay, let's get that liquid pump put in there. And of course, that is wired to the opposite side, but that's okay. Gonna need a liquid utility tank on that. So this water should cool to 130 degrees. Yeah. So this should be 130 in here. We can tap off and take a little water. If we want hot water, or if we want to cool it down the rest of the way, we can pump it through to here, and that'll cool it to 20 degrees. And then our cool water can go into the greenhouse up this way. Okay, and then hot water we will run inside. There we go. So let's paint some of these. So this will be blue and red because that's hot water. And this will be just blue because that's cold water. Okay, so this should be completely evacuated out. I think we are ready to start running the greenhouse now. So we'll cover up these floor panels again. We're getting nil everywhere here. Turn that off, and then we can come down here. That's looking fine, and then that hot water is in a bad spot. Is that hot water? That is hot water. Or no, that's cold water. So we'll end up just removing this vent. That's fine, we won't need that vent in the future anyway. So for now, I'm just going to unwire it so it doesn't actually accidentally run like we did before. There we are. And now this is all safe, this is open. We've got 3,300 moles of carbon dioxide in there. We'll close that valve so we don't pull any warmer stuff. Let's make sure that temperature was good. 17-degree carbon dioxide, okay. Let's start flooding this room. Okay, and that is going to put carbon dioxide into here. That will take quite a while. Okay, that is going to take a very long time to fill this room, so let's just get this, it is all the way up to 10. Let's maybe just do a dumb thing. If you can't do a smart thing, then do a dumb thing. Because it's going to take so long to fill this initially, let's just throw in a valve. And just pulse it a little bit. Yeah, that's much better. So we'll just drain that tank out that way. Okay, so that is our greenhouse starting to fill with carbon dioxide. Let's see how this is looking. That's almost empty, so we can finish emptying that out. And that will rapidly condense. Looking good on pollutants. We got 200 liters. Pressure here is nice and low. Beautiful. Okay, so this gas separator is doing what it's supposed to do. Let's start bringing stuff from the old greenhouse over to the new greenhouse. So we're going to plant as many ferns as we can. These aren't harvestable yet, but that's fine. Fern seeds, let's grab 10 of them. I guess let's do switchgrass for the rest. And then let's just carry the rest of the seeds over. Okay, switchgrass and ferns. And we'll put the sugarcane there. So we got 37 kilopascals in here. That's not too bad. But we can make it better, because that's not going to be quite enough for stuff to grow. Okay, into the basement. Come on, spray can. Okay. So that's 25 degrees, it's 17 in there, so that's fine. We can add in this extra cooling. And let's head upstairs and see how that's looking. 44 kilopascals, beautiful. And 20 degrees. If we plant a test fern, the water is too hot. What is the water temperature? Why? How did this water get to 52 degrees? Well, that's a problem. I guess let's grab the portables connector. Let's steal the portables connector and the tank. Okay, let's remove this. So there's like 12 liters of water in there. We have something like 15 more liters in here. If we mix the two, that should bring the water temperature into an appropriate range so that we don't damage the plants. And those should equalize now in temperature. 35 degrees. So Fern is thriving. It took a little bit of damage. And let's get the grow light going. And plant the rest of them. Beautiful. Thriving. We're going to end up moving that grow light. They've made the grow light coverage area bigger in the newer releases. And do we have any more switchgrass? Alright, so let's see if we're making any oxygen. Looks like we are. Yeah, that's climbing rapidly, so that is beautiful. Okay. So we'll bring the oxygen, or the carbon dioxide pressure up a bit more. And let's also put in just a touch of liquid nitrogen just to cool it down a tad. There we are. That is looking quite nice. So oxygen is up to 0.2% already, so that's climbing very quickly. And we'll just close that vent off. And this is looking quite nice. Let's put... Oh, fern seeds. Shoot. There were a whole bunch of those down here. Let's put those on the floor. I guess we'll worry about planting those real quickly here. Let's just get these printing quick. Okay, it's going to give us about 20 more trays. Okay, I guess let's do a quick bit of automation work here. Pull the chip, import the code from it, and put it back into the housing. Oh, we've got a storm going on. That means we got to stop this real quick. Okay, edit the code and pause because of the storm, which is quite annoying. Oh, we're going to have to name a couple of these things. Okay, that's going to be called intake vent. And we'll call that intake tank. Okay, the first little bit of automation we're going to do is going to be quite simple. Let's just check if the outside temperature is less than 404. We'll call it 405. So about 132 degrees roughly. So load from the intake tank the pressure and set into R1. If R1 is less than, we'll say 4800. And we'll AND those two together. And so if the pressure is low and the temperature outside is low, then let's run the vent. So the on should be R0, and let's set the mode to inward. So mode is 1. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now this intake vent should be under the control of the chip. Yep, it's forcing it to inward, and it's forcing it to off since the temperature is too warm outside. Boy, these storms have really gotten a lot more intense since the updates have happened. Let's grab the rest of our planters, and we'll head over to the other room. Okay, so that row... So this can actually move over by 1. So these are all still getting light. And so we have that one is covered, and so one whole more row can exist under this light. I'll have to move those pipe segments. Okay, we'll come down in the basement. Alright, so now if we test a Fern seed. Thriving, and it has light. And this can actually get a whole nother row on here. So let's put in that row first. Let's just do a test plant real quick. That should have light. And it does. If I turn the light off, it's in darkness. Okay, so that means this full row can be filled out then.
Filter low.
And we can get one more, so that's covering that row there. So this 1, 2, and then the third row should be also in light. Let's just real quickly check that that has water. It does. How much water is in there? 22 liters. That's plenty for a long time. Thriving, but it's in darkness. And now it's in light. Beautiful. So now we can put in the rest of those. We'll need 2 more containers. And we're up to 1.4% oxygen and really climbing quite fast. So that is beautiful. And our grow light is cycling on and off, so those should be fine. Greenhouse is looking quite nice. Okay, that's 2 more of those. Storm is finished. We want filters, CO2 filters. Okay, I'm back after a break and doing some editing. While I was editing, I noticed a few things I wanted to update. Some issues with some of our cooling systems out here. There's a potential for some liquids to be produced, and so we need to correct for that. So I'm going to want a couple of valves. Okay, so this system here normally shouldn't condense anything, but if it pulled in gas during a storm, the storm could potentially cool it off enough to produce liquid, so we're going to have to figure out a way to put that correctly. Let's see. We can't put a valve there, shoot. If that cable wasn't there. Yeah, so let's start by just rewiring this right here. There we go. And now we can take this cable up right here. So we'll put in a condensation valve right here. And connect that up. There we go. Liquid portion. There. So now if this ever produces any liquids, it's protected. And we have to do the same for this one here. So we'll put in a valve. Let's see, right... Yeah, right there will work. There we are. And in theory, we don't want this to actually produce liquids and fill back into here. But if it were to, we do want to have... We don't want to rupture the tank, at least. Okay, we're done mining. Looks like the automation is working here. And that tank is getting a little bit warm. I want to come over here and make sure this is disconnected from the greenhouse. So this valve should be closed. Yeah, that's still open. Okay, good that we caught that. That's going to have to cool down a little bit before we inject more of that into the greenhouse. Let's see. Oh, actually we're all right. So it's fine in here. We just can't bring any more of that CO2 in. All right. And as long as we're here, we'll put these down real quick. So this hill over here to the south of the base is kind of in the way. I'd like to be able to put landing pads and stuff here, so I'm going to just kind of mine this whole thing down as much as I can, grab what minerals we can out of here, and then mainly just cut the height down so that we can build kind of out this direction a little more freely. Okay, so we're just coming into day 50. I've finished doing a bit of harvesting over on this greenhouse. I got a little bit done here. I've harvested most of the food in this greenhouse and gotten a few more ferns. We're going to bring those over to the new greenhouse, boost our oxygen production a little bit. Okay, so how can we breathe yet in here?
Oxygen critical.
Oxygen critical. So still not high enough to breathe, but getting close. We're going to put down, we have fern seeds, we're going to put down one more of those. So that is all of these planted now. Everything's thriving, looking very good. So I think since we're done with this thing, I'm going to take this apart. Okay, so that is taken apart. Let's do a bit of rewiring as long as we're down here. I'd like to relocate this wire there. So now we can remove this wire. Okay, so we can run across the top of the door. So we'll do that. We're a few cables short, we're just going to have to go get some more. Okay, we've done some mining and a little bit of manufacturing. We're going to take this equipment, the air conditioner we'll leave here. Locker, let's bring the other locker. So we're going to want the automated oven as well. Okay, let's put some of this stuff over here. So now if I run... Oh, technically I can get 3 more rows in there. I think I will. Yeah, they all fit in there. Let's go 3. Okay. So that's going to move that light over 2 notches. We'll worry about that a little bit later. Yeah, so we can get a whole second one in here. Okay, let's start setting up some of these things. And so the egg carton is dead. Very dead at this point. It's almost day 50. Okay, so that has power. Why does that not have power? Because we missed a cable. There we go. There we are. Okay, that is working. And that is working. Beautiful. Okay, we'll set up the reagent processor and chemistry station on the table here. And those both have power. Okay. Turn that off. And just for desirability's sake, let's get some light in. Looks like about halfway. Not sure I like having it just right in the middle like that. I'd probably want a few lights. We'll worry about that a little later on, though. Oh, this needs a frame. Okay. I'll worry about installing that later, I guess. The microwave we'll put on the shelf. I don't think we'll actually need the microwave for a while, if ever. Okay, day 50. Okay, that's doing good on CO2. Let's actually just turn the processing off for a little while. So that's almost back to pure hydrogen again. So we are going to want to separate or move, once this is down to pure hydrogen, we're going to want to move a bunch of that over here. So we're probably going to need some more pipes and stuff for that. Oh, are we out of power? Yes, we are. Okay, we're low on power. We're going to try and get one more solar panel up here. We better realign the panels for morning too. Okay, we need 2 more heavy cables.
Health low.
Okay, turn the automation back on. So as soon as we get power in the morning, everything should re-automate. And we'll go in and have a bite to eat as long as we're sort of stuck with nothing else to do. Oh, but I can't get into here. Damn it. Alright. Okay, so with the power out, I think it's a good time to stop and take a break for the episode. It's day 50. We are basically self-sufficient at this point, so without, aside from the power issue we're having, which should be solved as soon as the sun comes up, we should be good to go. And we're making plenty of oxygen. We have the equipment to turn the oxygen into water, and now we just need to start doing those things. So if you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so, and don't forget to leave a like and comment on anything you find interesting in the video. I'd love to hear your suggestions as to where to go next. But other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.